Hey, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are covering the best possible way you can level up, in my opinion, in Athena's Fortune, which I know is a category a lot of people struggle with, and I am going to be giving various tips and tricks, including specialty weekends, that will help your journey on your way to level 500. So let's get started. And first things first, what you're going to want to make sure is you are running an emissary flag at all times because it speeds up your process so much more. So let's go on over to the tavern and raise that up. There we go. And we are now an Athena's Fortune emissary. And to start this off, you are going to want to make sure you have a bit of reputation in Athena's Fortune just so that you have these dive voyages unlocked. But I don't think you have to be higher than level 15, so it should be pretty easy to get there. Also, keep in mind, in order to start Athena's Fortune voyages, you have to be a Pirate Legend, which is level 50 in 3 of these categories: Reaper Bones, Merchant, Order Souls, or Gold Hoarders. But the first thing we're going to do today is we are going to do a raid voyage to a sea fort. So let's dive to that location and get started. Now, this is a good opportunity if you wanted to get supplies, bring a storage crate along, and loot up the sea fort as well, because they often have about 150 to 200 cannonballs and a ton of really good food. For the sake of this video, however, we are not going to be doing that. But I will warn you, we are going to the Roar, so if you are not comfortable in the Roar and do not go very often, perhaps you do want extra food just so you can make sure if you get hit by fireballs or something, you can still survive. I am perhaps a little more confident in my abilities than I should be. Okay, and now we're coming into the sea fort. You can see at the base there's a glowing green part at the very bottom. Perhaps if this sail gets out of the way you can see it better. But right around there, and that's where we're going to park our boat up, because that is where the treasure comes out of. Generally, you're always pointed towards it, so you don't have to worry about maneuvering too much. And if you are trying to grind up Athena levels alone and you're on a sloop and you're a little uncomfortable, I have 2 very helpful guides uploaded on my channel, so make sure you check those out after this. I also stream every weekday on Twitch. Here's my Twitch channel if you want to stop by and watch some Sea of Thieves content live. And if you have more questions, you can definitely ask them to me there. But here we go, we're pulling in, and just because we are in the storm, unfortunately, when we get a little closer, I'm going to drop my anchor. And now we can go ahead and get this fort started. And there's no really fastest way to do these waves, unfortunately, so I'm just going to clear these out the best way I know how. And I will see you guys after this is done. Okay, and we are now on the final wave of this fort. It took about 3 minutes, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes. We'll wait for the boss to come on all the way up here. As you can see, I have a couple kegs waiting for him. Blow those up, and it should just end the fort right then and there if you have 2 or more kegs. So now that we've done the fort, we are just going to be bringing all the loot out of this room here over to this little elevator right here. And make sure you grab every piece, as it is going to be important into getting you to your grade 5 Athenas. There we go, and now we're going to lower it, or bring it over to the door, I suppose. And once it's there, we can come to this pulley, and this should bring it down towards the water level. And keep in mind, if you're looting barrels, these white ones have some of the best food in the game, including a bunch of cooked provisions and often pineapples. So let's see if we can get anything good out of these before proceeding. And that's not too bad for food, so let me go back to our ship that we parked up right at the door. And if you are like me and you can't quite reach the loot, that's okay. Just raise up your anchor if you are in the storm like I happen to be. Turn the boat just a little bit, and then you're just gonna drop your sail just like that, and that should inch you forward enough, slowly enough, so that you can grab all the treasure as you go by, which is what we are going to do. There's a few more chalices. There we go. That is everything, and that will bring you just barely to grade 3, bringing us to the next step of our method, which is going to be one of 2 things. If you really want the gold, you can bring this over to an outpost and sell it. However, in my opinion, it is not even a little bit worth it. So what I am going to do is now go to our Athena's Fortune voyages, and we are going to dive to an Ashen Voyage of Legends, and it's going to tell you have treasure on board. That's okay. So it's really up to you. If you're really trying to min-max your gold and reputation, then you can go sell it, but in my opinion, you're taking away valuable time from being at a grade 5, and personally, I just wouldn't. And just like that, you will dive to the first location of your Athena's Voyage Legend. Now, I do want to say, if you want to be careful about this method and you're trying to avoid PvP at all costs, I do understand that. So what I would suggest is possibly diving. I'll show you which voyage. But it's the Ashen Gold Hoarder's dig chest that just has 2 small chests that you have to dig up. Dive to that voyage, and then what you can do is run over to your map and see if there's any Reapers or anybody even close to you. And if there's not, you can vote to cancel that voyage and vote up an Athena one. However, I don't like doing that method because it takes longer, but if you want to be extra careful, you can. But again, I always suggest to people that you take PvP combat every time you get the opportunity because it makes you so much better at the game, which then in turn makes the game so much more enjoyable. But I do understand it's not fun being sunk. However, it is my recommendation you always take the fight. So now I'm just going to go ahead and complete this voyage on this island, and I will see you after. Okay, and with that, we have finished all our treasure. It's just on the shore there. And the reason we're in the Roar, if I haven't explained it, is because you get significantly more gold and rep from an Ashen Chest of Legends than you would from just a regular Chest of Legends. And oftentimes in the Roar, people don't come and disturb you. However, when you get back to your boat, if you really want to avoid conflict, what I suggest doing is taking a look around and seeing if there's any other boats on the horizon. And if there are, I recommend you just go sell right away if you really are worried about it. Because although you will be getting less gold and reputation for not being grade 5, the only thing worse than that is sinking with all the treasure on board. So next up, we have a riddle at Flintlock Peninsula and skeletons at the Devil's Thirst. So we're going to take a straight line down south here, and I will see you guys when we get to Flintlock. Now, another thing I do want to point out is if you are worried about conflict and you want to maximize your reputation, there is another method you can do. And that is diving to 3 of those sea forts which we started with, which will put you to grade 5 in Athena's if you complete 3 and you get all the loot and put it on your boat. And then on the 3rd one, you can go sell the treasure because you'll be grade 5. And then you dive to the Roar, which I am doing right now. And since you are grade 5, every time you get treasure, if you want, you can go and sell it at the outpost as a grade 5 without having to complete the quest to then be grade 5. It makes the stakes significantly lower, and if you're at all worried about getting sank, it is definitely the way I would go. But again, the more PvP conflict you put yourself into in this game, the better you will get and the more fun you will have in the end. Take it from me, I have lost millions and millions in gold over the years getting better at this game. And if you come to peace with realizing sinking isn't the end of the world, then you will enjoy yourself significantly more. Now, I'm not sure if I had previously mentioned, but I have spent quite a bit of time in the Roar, and I know the Roar can be a little concerning for new players. So if you guys would like a full in-depth guide on how to survive in the Roar and do's and don'ts, comment that down below and I'll see if I can get that guide made for you guys. Because there are a few easier tips and tricks you can do to make your life a little bit easier. But what I will include in this video, the number one thing, especially if you're playing solo, if the island you are on starts having an earthquake, just make sure you get back to your boat and sail away as fast as possible. And for that reason, you might actually want to anchor your boat in the Roar so it doesn't get pushed away from the island when it begins to earthquake, and then always have a harpoon attached to the island like this. But anyways, I'm going to go complete this riddle and I will see you when it is done. Okay, and with this chest here, we have dug up the rest of our loot. We actually got very lucky with our riddles. And if you find you are struggling with finding any of these riddles, definitely check out Rare Thief. It is a website online that has every answer to every riddle on every island you can possibly get on Sea of Thieves. And if you're having trouble finding Rare Thief, let me know down below and I can possibly link it to you. But anyways, now it is time to make our way down to Devil's Thirst for our final part of this Athena's voyage. So I will see you when we get there. So as you can see, that's the island we have to go to right there. And we've actually gotten pretty lucky as we've seen it erupting before we even got there. So all we're going to do is pull up our sails, wait patiently, and hope that no one comes sneaking up on us. Now the eruption's been going off for quite a while, but I think we're just about done, hopefully. So I'm going to start sailing us over there. at a half sail and cross my fingers that it doesn't keep going when we get closer. Alrighty, and just like that, the puff of smoke is gone, and hopefully that cleared up a few of our skeleton waves for us, but I don't think we're gonna be so lucky. And then it just says we're gonna be at the jaws of the legend to the north, which should be the side we are coming up on. So let's go ahead and get a little bit closer, and I will start getting my sail up. Now, the quickest way to do skeletons always is with a sword, so we're going to make sure we have one of those equipped. And let's go see if we can find where these skeletons are. Now, keep in mind that just because an island just erupted does not mean you're safe for good. An island can re-erupt right away, which has happened to me in the past, so just be careful. But here we go, we got our skeletons, and I'm just going to take care of these guys, and I will see you after. Now, something I did forget myself and also forgot to mention is when you're going to do these skeletons, you're always going to find it handy to bring as many fire bombs with you as you can, because gold skeletons can be quite a pain in the butt. So let me see if I can hit a few from here. And we got one. That's good enough for me. I'm going to go ahead and launch myself back up there, and hopefully we can finish this out in no time at all. Or the other thing you can do is you can guide them towards geysers with the gold skeletons, or you can bring a blow dart. There are several good options. Okay, and with that, we have completed our voyage. That gave me a little bit of a scare, if I'm being completely honest. And we're going to go get our collector's chest, just to make grabbing those skulls a little bit easier on us. So I'll see you when we're back to the boat with the skulls. Okay, we'll put our last chest there, and our final island we have our dig on is going to be very close to wherever your last island was, so Ashen reaches just straight southwest. So let's go sail down there and get our big reward. Now, you will notice at this point you're only about halfway through grade 4, which is intentional. And the Ashen Chest of Legends likely won't be enough to get it there. So worry not, I'm going to explain to you what we're doing to get us the rest of the way to grade 5 after we get this final chest dug up, which by the looks of it is in a little bit of a tricky spot. So I'll see you guys once we have the chest. And now that we have that on board, we're going to come back to our quest table, and we're actually going to put up another one of this same voyage. And we're going to make sure we sail the location, because the last thing you want to do is lose all your treasure. And as you can see, we got some skeleton captains at Ruby's Fall, so that's where we're going to head to next. Now, I understand that we have a lot of treasure on board as of now. And as I previously mentioned, if you are at all concerned with it, just feel free to go turn in often, because it's always better to actually sell your loot than to sink with it if getting levels is your goal. However, if that is the method you are going with, I suggest you hit grade 5 prior to coming into the roar to do this. But lucky for us, we are just going to be able to go straight to the outpost to sell, as we got Skeleton Sloop, which does have a decent chance of showing up for you if you've been on the server as long as we have. So we're just going to go ahead and sink this sloop, and that will hopefully get us the reputation left that we need in order to be grade 5 to sell this treasure. And luckily they had a keg, which should make this go very easy. So let's see if we can put a couple more holes in them and if they'll go down, because they should be very close to going under, especially after that keg went off. And they just got hit by the exploding volcano that we are much too close to, if I'm being completely honest. And somehow we are missing all of it. The sloop is going down, and I am just going to sit below deck here in case we happen to get hit by one of those pieces. Now, unfortunately, from that skeleton sloop, we got just barely a hair away from hitting grade 5, which for me is fine, and for the purpose of this video, we don't have to necessarily hit grade 5, but I'm going to explain how this process works. So you would go to Ruby's Fall, and you would finish off that quest and get those skulls on board, and then you would do what we are doing, which is sailing to Morrow's Peak Outpost in order to sell. So once we've sold everything, I will pick back up with what the next part of your quest is, because this is now the hardest part of the entire thing has been done. Now, another thing you can do if you're in my position is what's called banking your treasure, which would be collecting everything off the boat like I am doing, which shouldn't be too many things. And once you have done that, leave it here and sail on over to wherever your next island is to hit grade 5. Because no one will assume that you have left treasure here. People don't often go and check outposts unless there is a boat actively at them. So if you were to drop it off here, sail over and sail back, likely your treasure would be a-okay. However, assuming you've hit grade 5 and sold all your treasure, the final step of this equation is actually going up to the tavern at Moros Peak and speaking to the mysterious stranger who will give you an emissary quest if you were grade 5. Unfortunately, we are just a hair short, so we can't get it from him. But with that emissary quest, you are now going to work that in to the voyage you started when you were at your final dig spot. And since you're grade 5, you're going to be able to sell your treasure as often as you want in between islands, and you can rinse and repeat doing these voyages in the roar, selling as often as you want for as long as you want, and this will be the best reputation you get for Athena's Fortune. Now, I know this was a long video. If you made it to the end, I appreciate it. And if it helped you out, let me know with a comment, like, or subscribe down below. Make sure you check out my Twitch channel if you guys have any questions, and you can hopefully catch me while I'm live. But we'll see you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.